A woman just about to begin her life, saving for a college she loved, all ended by a person she thought and should have been able to trust. My name is Sean, I post True Crime Weekly. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Let's get into the case of Sonya Ivanoff. I'd like to just say before I begin this case, I hope I don't butcher any of the names of the persons involved or some of the towns involved, and I apologise for that in advance. Sonya Ivanoff was an honour student and a star basketball player. She's from a village in Unalakleet, Alaska. She finished school but wanted to go to college in Hawaii. However, she needed money for this. So in 2002, she decided to go to a bigger city with more work. She ended up moving to the Alaskan city Nome. There she picked up a job at Northern Sound Regional Hospital as a secretary. She was known to be funny, down to earth and a great worker. Nome is one of the biggest towns in Alaska, with a population of around 3,699 people, give or take a little. Sonya's hometown, Unalakleet and Nome, they would be several hours apart by car if there was a road to connect them, but there isn't, unless you go by sled dog, otherwise you have to fly between cities. Sonya, she made her way to Nome and she moved in with her friend Timiri. Now nearly a year in Nome, on August 10, 2003, the pair went out on the town for a few drinks. And at 1 AM, Sonya told her friend she wasn't feeling the best and that she was going to go home to bed. So Sonya went home and Timiri would stay out. So when Timiri got home in the small hours of the 11th of August, she didn't see Sonya strangely. She didn't worry, thinking Sonya may have just stayed with friends. After Timiri did not hear from her for the whole day on the 11th, she started to get worried, asking her friends and family if they have heard from her. But no one did, and on August the 12th, after finding out Sonya never showed up to work, Timiri reporting her missing to the police at around 5:15 PM. The police ruled out quickly that she wouldn't have left on her own, and all of her stuff was still in the apartment. She would have never left without it.
She was quite concerned, and she wanted to file a missing persons report. Timiri told me that on the night of August 10th, they went out to a friend of hers for a beer, but Sonya was not feeling well at all. She was going to walk home, and so she left Timiri about 1 in the morning, and that was the last time Timiri saw.
A massive search was then launched for Sonya Ivanoff on August 13th. One of the searchers was a man named John Larson. He was an attorney and a voluntary firefighter in Nome. When searching for Sonya, he drove north of Nome, which was a more remote location, and he came across a dirt road, and the dirt road, it looked like it recently had been used. So he went and checked it out. He walked a little ways down the road and he noticed a body in the bushes. Unfortunately, it was confirmed to be 19-year-old Sonya Ivanoff. There was also a pool of blood on the road near where she was found, leading police to believe she was killed on the road and then rolled into the bushes as an attempt to hide the body. The local police, they had no experience in homicide, so they had to get more experienced investigators from Anchorage. The team of investigators, they arrived the next day and they got straight to work. Sonya's body was found nude apart from one sock on her foot. None of her items were found at the scene, like her apartment keys or her ID card. It was found Sonya was shot once to the back of the head with no signs of SA. No evidence was found at the scene or on Sonya's body. The investigators started off asking her friends and family if anyone would want to hurt her, and they started looking through the photos of the night they went out to see if they could find anything. They noticed a bruise on Sonya's arm, and Sonya's friend and roommate Timiri said it was her on and off again love interest, and his name was Kunik. They were not serious and only ever exchanged a kiss or two, but police brought him in and they checked his truck. His truck had a pair of shoes with blood on them and had 3 rifles in the back, but it was found to be animal blood and none of the DNA matched Sonya's, so the police had to move on to other leads. This is when another tip came in from a hesitant girl named Florence. She said the night Sonya went missing, Florence and her sister were sitting on the porch of her mother's home when Sonya passed by. They exchanged greetings, and down the road a bit they seen a known police car pass Sonya by, circle around and pick her up. This was around 1:30 AM in the morning.
Walking on the sidewalk, I said hi to her. I think I said hi back. She looks normal. She looks She was heading that way.
Toward the airport.
There was a police car. He started slowing down. Slowed down. He tells me to this other side. And then he turned around. The police officer stopped on the side. She said, "What's going on?" And he started rolling down his window down. They talked something. And she went in. It was shocking.
Now, Florence was hesitant to report this to the police because she was probably the last person to see Sonya alive. And now she thought it could be involving the Nome police, the very same department investigating the murder. 3 weeks later, this tip was followed up on by a Nome police officer. When they looked into it, it was found that there was no pickup on Sonya logged by any of the officers that night, and that there was only 3 police vehicles in total in the Nome department. 2 were on duty that night. The officers driving the vehicles that night were named. One was Matthew Owens. He was driving the older vehicle, while Officer Stan Piscoya was in the newer SUV. They were both asked to sit full interviews and polygraph tests in Anchorage on September 24th. However, on September 23rd, which was one day before the interviews were to take place, a police vehicle was taken from the Nome Police Department parking lot. The officer who drives this vehicle, his name was Byron Redburn. He was called at home after midnight and he said the car should be parked outside the station, but it obviously wasn't. The same night, Officer Matthew Owens called in on the radio and said he had found a missing police car and that he was getting shot. When the police arrived to the location where Matthew Owens said he was getting shot, there was no one there other than Officer Owens, along with the missing vehicle and Matthew Owens' personal car. The missing vehicle was brought to be searched. On the scene, investigators would find Sonya's ID along with a note. On this note it said, "Well, they pretty much called the police pigs," and then it went on to say whoever stole this car picked up and murdered Sonya in the other stolen police car, and that the police should leave him alone, right before the 2 cops were going to be interviewed about the murders. The next day, Officer Owens didn't fly out to Anchorage for the interview. He said it was due to stress from the previous night, so his interview was rescheduled. And when he finally went to the interview, he said he had an alibi for most of the night, except there was none for the time frame when Sonya was last seen. The state police in Anchorage would find holes in his story, while Officer Stan Piscoya's alibi and timeline was clean. It also didn't help that Officer Matthew Owens failed the polygraph test. After this, the investigators looked further into Matthew. They found he showed up to the location where her body was found, even though he wasn't working that day. They also went and spoke to Matthew's estranged wife, Trin, and that's when they found out that on August 12th, the day Sonya went missing, Matthew asked her to take his son earlier than usual as he needed to go to work early and that there was a girl missing. It was around 4:30 p.m. Now see, this was significant as Sonya was not reported missing until 5:15 p.m. So how did he know Sonya was missing before she was even reported missing? The police also found Matthew had access to the rare bullet used to kill Sonya. It had unusual patterns on it, and they found a fire pit with parts of clothes that matched the ones Matthew was wearing the night she went missing. With this, the investigators brought Officer Owens back in for questioning. He denied it all still. However, the police had a lot of evidence against him and charged him with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. So after the dust settled and the news broke of his arrest, numerous women came forward and said Officer Matthew Owens, he assaulted them while on duty, and told them to keep their mouths shut or he would kill them. So what happened to Sonya Ivanoff in the hands of Matthew Owens? As Matthew continued to deny everything, he never actually gave a full confession on what actually happened. Investigators suspected he pulled up to her in the police car, he offered her a lift, then asked her for sex when she got into the car. When she refused, the coward he is, he killed her. When the trial began, it was in Nome, but it had to be relocated as Matthew Owens, he knew a lot of people in Nome, and he had known some of the jurors as they attended church together. When the new trial went underway, he was then found guilty for the first-degree murder of Sonya Ivanoff and sentenced to 101 years in prison. May he rot. I feel like I've heard so many cases of officers using their powers to lure young, trusting and unsuspecting women to their deaths. They are the law, the person you trust with your life, not the person to take it. And that's all we have now on this case. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Until next time, I'll see you later.